for better or for worse. What's that? I don't. Oh. Oh, Melissa came. That's nice. Debuted at the gala. It has 3 parts to it. The first part is the part we're going to sing tonight that I need you all to sing B'Kol Ram in a loud voice, whether or not you have a mask on, especially if you have a mask, let's say, so we can really hear you. And then I'll do 1 or 2 of the parts on top of the padding, the main A part. So we're going to try it again. Your word is very easy. Hallelujah. Don't have to look at the words. Let's raise it up. Hallelujah. Okay. Easy, medium, or hard? Bring it. All right, we'll do 2 parts next time. Uh-oh. 2 parts next time. Here we go. All right, let's move to our bat mitzvah family is going to be lighting candles, but they're just coming in. So let's sing one more thing so they don't have to walk in and light candles first thing. Let's move to Yedid Nefesh. It'll be a little out of order. If you are in the Siddur, we're on page 128. In the middle of the page. Yedid Nefesh Avarachaman, Yedid Nefesh Avarachaman, Meshochav Decha, El Ritzonecha, Meshochav Decha, Yalalalai Ritzonecha. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Happy Pride. So I've been looking for some good readings for this evening for Pride. Poetry, affirmations, different things to add to our service in honor of this day, this month of Pride, of this existence of Pride, of being proud and free and so willing to shine our light into the world at any moment in time, but we decide this month is the month that we're really going to celebrate it. So this is by Andrew Raymer to set the stage for our service this evening. Our people came out of Egypt a mixed multitude, the spray of dividing waters, sparkling diamonds all around them. We stood together at Sinai, all of us, future, present, past, amid the rumble of thunder and the crack of bright lightning, to enter into covenant with the one who loves us, in whose shining image we are all created over and over again. We have wandered bleak landscapes, built flimsy tents of skin and then houses of stone. We have planted orchards and vineyards, seen 2 temples rise and then go down in surging flames, forcing us into exile. We have loved and lost, grieved and danced, transgressed and celebrated, hidden, suffered, and thrived. And we gather here this day in the community of our people, a mixed multitude. And we sing out, "Hear, O Israel, we stand together, all of us, descendants of the first human created on the sixth day, and of our myriad parents down through the generations, too numerous to name. We stand together, link arms, and pray. Blessed are you, God of the universe, who sanctifies us with the commandment to love ourselves and one another in all our varied ways, and blesses us with a diamond-bright radiance that still ripples out from your first spoken words of creation." We're going to go right to Or Zarua on 132. Psalm 97. As Andrew Raymer said, diamond bright radiance that ripples out from your first spoken words of creation. Or Zarua. This light, this diamond bright light that shines out from the soul of every human being. We celebrate on this day, on every day, that we can all be our fullest selves. Or Zarua la tzadik ulishre lev simcha. Or Zarua la tzadik ulishre lev simcha. Simchu tzadikim b'Adonai, b'Adonai, ve'odu lezecher kodsho, lezecher kodsho. Or Zarua la tzadik ulishre lev simcha. Or Zarua la tzadik ulishre lev simcha. Simchu tzadikim b'Adonai, b'Adonai, ve'odu lezecher kodsho, lezecher kodsho. Or Zarua la tzadik ulishre lev simcha. Or Zarua la tzadik ulishre lev simcha. Or Zarua la tzadik ulishre lev simcha. The psalmist says, light is cultivated, is shined for the tzaddik, for the one who stands in justice, in righteousness in their own heart. Ulishre lev simcha, and the ones who are upright of heart will have this joyful existence. So the ones, all of us, who show up in our truth, in our strength, in truly who we're meant to be in the world, the psalmist says, that's where our joy comes from, showing up with our fullest hearts. So, to cultivate that radiant light, it is my great pleasure to invite our Bat Mitzvahs family for tomorrow morning. Amy, Amaya, Joy, whoever from your family, Rudy, Diego, whoever's coming forward to light candles. Amy's looking skeptical. Anyone from the family who wants to come light, they'll light the candles. We'll sing together as a community. The whole crew, bring it on. We'll bring in the light together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Thank you, and Erev Mazal Tov to you, especially to Amaya. May that light carry you through tomorrow morning to tomorrow evening. Thanks so much. She's in charge. She's the bat mitzvah. She knows what she's doing. Turning to 136. Mizmor LeDavid. Mizmor LeDavid. Avul Adonai v'ne'edim. Avul Adonai kavod ha'oz. Avul Adonai kevod shemo. Yishtachavu l'Adonai be'adrat kodesh. Turning the page to 138. This might be the most people we've had in the room.
Yeah, it has, since your installation.
In 2.5 years. It's possible. Woo! So happy about that turn of events. 138. Our founding rabbi and I, Rabbi Asher, have always wanted to have a stained glass put on this window that I get to look at, but none of you get to look at, with a setting sun on that stained glass. Because it inevitably happens that Shabbos crosses over just at the right moment, that the sun is going down, and that we chant Lecha Dodi, that we move over into this time in which we do not need to think anymore about the week that was, because the truth is, it's gone and done, and there is nothing we can do about it. It is in the past. The only moment we have is this moment and this day and those lights and the setting sun remind us week after week after week to create some sort of a mindful practice for ourselves to remember how to be present, since our lives are so scattered and it is so hard to do that in our lives today. So once again, right on time, Lecha Dodi is landing right when it's supposed to remind us just to be here right now. We're going to do 1, 2, 5, and 9 as always. We'll rise for verse 9. We'll face the doors. We will bow to the presence of Shabbat, to the presence of the divine, entering our space to keep us company for this magical 25 hours that we get to carve out for ourselves week after week, this incredible Shabbat experience. 138 and 139, this is the Moroccan melody for Lecha Dodi. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. 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 Shama v'zachor b'dibur echad, ishmi'anu el hamiluchad. Adonai echad, shemo echad, l'shem tiferet v'tihila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat bechu v'nelcha, ki מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם מנסוחה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. lecha Dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך וביורי. אורי, אורי, שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. lecha if you're comfortable staying standing, we're going to move to 144 for the Chatzi Kaddish right into the Baruch Hu. If you need to have a seat, please do. 144. Yitgadol ve'yitkadash shemei Rabbah ve'alemad yivrach irutei ve'amelich malchutei b'chayechon u'v'yamechon u'v'chayei chol beit Yisrael bagala bagala u'vizman kariv emeru Amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lal me'amaya yitbarach ve'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam ve'yitnasei ve'yitadar ve'yitale ve'yitaral shemei de kudesha Le'ela min kol birchata ve'shirata tushbechata ve'nechemata damiran be'alma ve'imiru Amen. On 146, we turn to the Baruch Hu. Everything until now has been preparation for this moment. We haven't said a Baruch. We haven't said a blessed. We haven't said a word of official prayer until this moment. We take a deep breath, we stand in our strength, and we recite the Baruch Hu together. Have a seat. As an alternative to our Yotzer Bracha, to this blessing on 148 about creation, we talk about the evening in the evening. We talk about light in the morning in the same place. This is Twilight People by Rabbi Reuben Zelman. As the sun sinks and the colors of the day turn, we offer a blessing for the twilight. For twilight is neither day nor night, but in between. We are all twilight people. We can never be fully labeled or defined. We are many identities and loves, many genders and none. We are in between roles, at the intersection of histories, or between place and place. We are crisscrossed paths of memory and destination, streaks of light and swirled together. We are neither day nor night. We are both, neither, and all. May the sacred in-between of this evening suspend our certainties, soften our judgments, and widen our vision. May this in-between light illuminate our way to the God who transcends all categories and definitions. May the in-between people who have come to pray be lifted up into this twilight. We cannot always define. We can always say a blessing. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv, Aravim. Blessed are you, God of all, who brings on the twilight. 150. Ahavat olam et Yisrael ahavta Torah u'mitzvot chukim u'mishpatim otanu limadeta al ken Adonai Eloheinu b'shachmeinu u'tkumeinu nasiach bechukecha ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ובהם נגע יומם ולילה כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ובהם נגע יומם ולילה כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ובהם נגע יומם ולילה כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ובהם נגע יומם ולילה כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ובהם נגע יומם ולילה כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ובהם נגע יומם ולילה ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad 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 Baruch Shem Kavod The Ve'ahavta this evening on 154 will be led by tomorrow morning's bat mitzvah, Amaya. I'm gonna let her be here. She's gonna come here.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם בבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ושכבך ובקומך ושרתם להיות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך ובטחתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיהם. אני אדוני אלוהיהם אשר הוצאתי אתם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיהם. אמת.
If you want more of that beautifulness, you can come back tomorrow morning. On 158, we move to the Michamocha. This ultimate text about justice and redemption that we recite morning and evening every day, both to remind us to always fight for those who are oppressed, who have the freedoms that we have freedoms that they don't have, to fight for their freedoms. That is desperately needed in our world today. Michamocha says that is our imperative because we were once not free, and we remind ourselves twice a day. And we remind ourselves that no matter how narrow your life gets, there is always an opening on the other side. You may not know when it's coming, but it will be there. Because that's how life goes, right? We go in and out. We go narrow and expanse, over and over and over again. Never stays the same. Adonai Yaakov, ugalo miad chazak mimanu, Baruch atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael. And on 160, we move into Hashkivenu, this last piece of liturgy before we glide into our own silent Amidah, asking God to shelter us with peace, us here, us, the human race, everyone across the world that needs a shelter of peace. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, Ve'hamidenu shomrenu, Baruch atah Adonai hapores sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'al Yerushalayim. This last piece of poetry for Pride is by my friend Meg Adler. It's short. It took Meg a year to write it because it's about pronouns. It's not that I don't care. It's that pick any one, peek behind it, and you won't find me there. Slippery by nature like Aaron's oil, anoint me, dripping in the task to say what I mean. On 164, we're going to sing Adonai Sifatai Tiftach. We're going to open our mouths and ask for blessing and praise to come out. And then we're going to get quiet. And we're going to recite a silent Amidah. You can do it standing. You can do it sitting. You can do it with text. You can do it without text, just with your eyes closed. Make of this opportunity to pray whatever it is that you need this Shabbat. Maybe this is the only time you're going to pray this week. Maybe it's the only time you're going to carve out 1 minute of silence on 164. Please rise. Ya la 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 Adonai. Ya la 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 Sfatai Tiftach. Ya la 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 Ufi Hagid. Ufi Yagid Tehilatech. Yagita Kosi Revaya. May our cups overflow with blessing, with love, with acceptance, with grace today and every day. Kosi Revaya. 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 Kosi, Kosi Revaya. Kosi Revaya. Kosi Revaya. Kosi Revaya. We take that blessing and we extend it to those in our community who are in need of healing this Shabbat. We're thinking of Susan and Wisnodell, Iris Kaplan, Leslie McDonald, Liba Cooperman, Sandy Foreman, Harvey Gilbert, Dan Tootin, Rachel Faye Wells, Irene and Martin Garfinkel, Leah Batrachel, Judy Griffith, Maria Elizabeth Rausch, Lev Heschel ben Bat Ami, Joan Schwartz, Meir ben Shoshana, Mordechai Yosef ben Gita Yaakova, Ty Ellenwood, Bob Wilk, Estelle Goldstein, Jim Svingos, and Andy Zetlin. Are there other names of people we should pray for this evening? You can call them out. Taking all those names, we recite Anna, Elna, Refanala, taken from this Shabbat's Torah portion. When Moses prays on behalf of his sister Miriam, when she is struck with tzara'at, this scaly affliction, and out of his mouth pours Anna, Refanala, please God, heal her. Anna, Elna, Refanala. Anna, Elna, Refanala. Amen. Our founding rabbi, Rabbi Asher, was the first rabbi to sit on the Interfaith Council in this county, the first Jew. There were no Jews on the Interfaith Council until Rabbi Asher said, we need to represent. We need to stand up and represent the interfaith community. He was one of the first rabbis to perform interfaith marriage. And legend has it, before my day, which is longer than 18 years ago, we were kicked out of the church that we used to use for high holidays because he preached about gay marriage. And the church said, no thanks, we don't want your preaching here anymore. We have been a community fighting for the rights of all human beings since the moment we were created. Long before that flag was hung in the lobby, long before I came out, we were a community that said we were going to welcome all humans into our midst. In particular, this month, of course, all beings who identify with the LGBTQ plus community. We have been fighting for all those folks, all of us, this entire time, for the entire history of our community. So this Pride Shabbat has always been one of pride for us. We had an incredible panel last year. Another young person from our community spoke about their experience of being queer in the Jewish community last year. And this evening, we have another young person in our community. I'm allowed to call you young, right, Alex? I know you feel old, but you're not old. Alex grew up at CBT. Alex was a student of mine. Alex is brave, stepping forward tonight to tell his story. Thank you so much for being here. We welcome you to the Bima. Alex Meixel, please come on up.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. My name is Alex Meixel. Lovely to be here. I am a 23-year-old young person. I am an avid baker, a kayaker, a Netflix binge watcher, and a proud dog parent. I also happen to be transgender. Some of you might ask, why didn't you lead with you being transgender? This is Pride Shabbat, you know. I realize that being transgender is a big part of my life, but it's not the only part of my life. I want people to see my whole self and not get stuck in the details. It would also be a weird world if we walked up to people and gave out our gender identities. Hi, I'm cisgender, what about you? Interesting to think about when the shoe is on the other foot, don't you think? The most frequent question I get asked is, you were born a girl. When did you know you were a boy? At this point, I like to politely tell people I was not, in fact, born a girl, which I get in response a lot of confused looks. So I say I was assigned female at birth. The doctor said, it's a girl, and my parents were happy that I was healthy, and having an older brother, they were happy to have one of each. Little did they know, it was just a boy trying to make his way in the world, to make his outside look like he felt on the inside, and to make everyone understand that weird feeling he was having. How nothing seemed to click. So to answer that question, I would say, I always knew. I just didn't have the language to say, this is how I feel. As I got older, I was very into sports. The harder the contact, the better. Watching my mom's face as I competed in Taekwondo sparring matches, still ingrained in my mind. This was my way of coping. I could try and get those smaller hips, flatter chest, and broader shoulders by exercising, making my body look like how I felt. I was striving for something, I just couldn't quite put my finger on what it was. This continued into high school, constantly seeking that body that my hormones continued to fight against. I grew to love unisex t-shirts that were too big and basketball shorts. I didn't play basketball. Looking back now, I think to myself, how could I not have known? At the age of 14, I came out as gay. This seemed like a natural stepping stone for how I was feeling at the time, since I knew I was attracted to women. However, there was always this discontent in my relationships. They just never seemed quite right. I never seemed to fit into the space that I was meant to fit into, the box I was trying to put myself in, the box I so badly deep down was trying to escape. The inner turmoil continued to grow through my teen years. The discontent with my life, my body, the way I was perceived, the stuckness that I felt started to take a toll. I fell down into the dark depths of depression, and I began to close off to the world. There were many days where I couldn't see a future, not one that I wanted to live in anyway. Many days where my body was there, but my soul wasn't. As I laid in bed, as a typical millennial, I scrolled on my phone. Instagram had become my sanctuary, my place to run off to and get lost. In all of the dog videos and videos of people falling down, I saw this picture. I don't know why it stood out to me, but I clicked on it. It was this man, a real gym bro type. No shirt, six-pack abs, and biceps that seemed to be the size of my head. But what stood out to me were the scars on his chest. 2 lines, straight across. Then I saw his smile, this genuine, couldn't get from a filter smile. And I read his caption, and it said, "Finally happy and proud to look in the mirror. The journey is the best part. #transgender." His name is Jordan. At that point, he was 3.5 years on testosterone. I was amazed. I spent the next many hours looking up what transgender was and how you would know if you were transgender. I had heard the word before, being a part of the LGBT community, but it had never been explained to me, nor had I cared to look it up. I, of course, decided there is no way I'm trans. How could I be? What would that even look like for my life? So I texted my friend Kelly and asked her if I would look good with short hair, to which, as the supportive friend that she is, replied, "Of course." My hair was cut the next day. I told my mom I was cutting my hair. I don't think she realized that about 10 inches was being cut off. And this was the start of my transition journey, my rebirth, if you will. I want to take a pause and take a moment to check in with all of you. Having taught second grade Hebrew school this past year, I found that class participation is a must. So I figured we would take a short intermission from story time and play a game. We're gonna play Pride Trivia, all right? This side, you're gonna be team 1. This side, you're gonna be team 2, okay? Seems a little unfair, this side's pretty big. I feel like you guys can handle it, okay? Awesome. So, I will ask a question to your team, and if you know it, when you're ready, go ahead and shout it out. If you get it incorrect, or you don't know it, the other team will have a chance to take your point, okay? Do we have any questions? No? Okay, thank you for answering. Beautiful. All right, we're gonna start with you, team 1. Question 1, why is Pride celebrated in June? Oh, stumping him on the first one. Oh man. Yes, exactly. To commemorate the Stonewall riots that happened in June of 1969 in New York. Good job, Keshet Group. Okay. Really bringing this home. This riot served as the catalyst for the gay rights movement across the world. Stonewall riots. That's why we celebrate in June. Cool. All right. Team 2. What group? Are we evening out the teams? I don't know. All right. What group was a major player in the Stonewall riots? You've read the speech, you can't answer. Women? Okay. I'm gonna give you a half point for that. There you go. I will give you a whole point for that. Anyone more specific? Sorry? Drag queens. Okay, thank you. Trans women. Yes, or drag queens. Okay. Anyone else? Anyone else? Black trans women. Yes. Very good. Team 2. All right. Yes, black trans women, specifically Marsha P. Johnson. She was an activist and fought for gay and trans rights. She told a judge that the P in her name stood for pay it no mind, and he laughed and dismissed the charges that were pending against her. Yeah. God, I wish I had her courage. Are we gonna switch sides again, or are we good? Okay, cool, just checking. All right, we are 1-1, back to you. All right, question 3. How many anti-LGBTQ laws were introduced into the legislature last year, 2021? Way too many. That is a good answer. A lot. Do we have a guess? We'll just count all of them. Just any guesses? Oh, okay, all right. 1,000. That was closer than 6. Just kidding. All right. Yes. So, do you guys have any guesses over here? Want to steal the point? 26. Okay. 368. Just in Florida. You get a point for that. 10,000. That was a very good guess. 362. More than 250. More than 250 laws. In that 250, 35 of them were against transgender youth getting the appropriate gender-affirming care. 69 bills would prohibit transgender athletes from playing the sports they loved on the teams with the gender they identify as. And 15 of those bills would prohibit transgender people from having access to restrooms and locker rooms consistent with their gender identity. Let's take a moment and let that sink in. More than 250 laws were written against trans brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers, aunts, uncles, neighbors, friends, our community. We are not fighting for gun control to protect people. We are fighting and harming them by preventing them from being themselves by getting the resources and support they need. You both get a point for that. General question for the public. Just kidding, I think it's your turn. Yes, team 2. All right. What percent of transgender youth attempt suicide? Oh, 51, okay, okay. 70%, okay. 30, okay. Okay, any guesses from over here? 75, okay. 40-ish, yep. Yep. 1 in 3. 1 in 3 transgender youth attempt suicide. And that's just the amount that we know about. Thank you all for playing. On a lighter note, congratulations to everyone. I believe we tied, so congrats. I hope that you all learned something, and something new. And remember, we're all winning by educating ourselves on LGBTQ topics. We all need to be better allies. Coming back to the story, and picking up where we left off, I had just cut my hair. And the process of social transition had started. I went to my parents' house to walk the dogs with my mom. We did this on a regular basis. It seemed like it would be an ordinary walk. But I had big things on my mind. Telling her that I'm trans. Telling her that the mini-me she had always had had never really been her daughter, but a struggling son. She had known some of my mental health struggles, but I had not been one to disclose a lot of information. I was a silent struggler. I had learned to be after years of putting up a front. So we started our walk in our normal manner, but I was feeling anxious, not quite sure how to approach the topic. I finally said, "I'm not a girl." There was some silence, and I could see the wheels turning in her brain. She said, "Is that why you cut your hair?" I said, "Yeah, I'm a man." She then told me I had always had such beautiful hair, and that it was a shame that it was cut. I was very emotional at this point, and had tears brimming in my eyes. I told her that she had 2 sons, and she said she would never call me her son. I recognized at this time that this journey was going to be a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. Coming out as gay seemed like a breeze compared to this. We finished our walk in silence. I realize now she needed her own time to process this information. She saw it as sudden and impulsive. She didn't realize I had known all along, and now finally had the correct language to use to describe how I was feeling, or to even know more people like me were out there. We've since had many talks about this time, and I realized she was on a journey too. And as I was finding myself, she felt like she was mourning the death of her daughter. For me, this makes my stomach sick. While I understand what was happening for her, it makes me upset to have her think I'm completely changing as a person. My core fundamentals stayed the same. But I'm happier, more confident, more free to live my life the way that I want to live it. I couldn't understand why she couldn't get it. So we grew more distant. Time went on, and I started requesting he, him pronouns at work, and started going by a different name. My older brother, Jake, was a big supporter in all of this, taking right to my new pronouns and name, making me feel heard and seen, something I so desperately at that time needed. I tried many names, and even had a list of them I liked: James, Caleb, Levi, and the list goes on. My pronouns and name were the hardest for people to pick up, especially the ones that had known me before. They couldn't understand why I wanted to change my name. They never realized I felt detached from it. People would call it, and I would respond out of conditioning, but not because I felt like it was me. I settled on Alex, as it seemed the easiest for people to transition to, since both my dead name and Alex start with the letter A. I want to take a moment here and make the comment that by asking a trans person what their dead name is, you can be invalidating their entire existence. My personal belief: some trans people might not feel this way and want to share that information of their story. But that name is not who they are. So please be respectful and call them by the name and the pronouns that they give you, even if you knew them before they transitioned. Doing this will save lives. Saved mine. A standout moment for me is when my Nana, my dad's mom, came up to me and said, "So I call you Tootsie." Tootsies can be boys too, right? I smiled at her and said, of course. She's finally getting to see the grandson she's known become the man that he was meant to be, even if he's still a little Tootsie to her. I started testosterone a couple months later. The road to getting testosterone was a doozy. Trying to get an appointment with a gender therapist so they can write a letter saying you have gender dysphoria. The diagnosis of gender dysphoria, according to the DSM-5, the psychology book, is a term that describes a sense of unease that a person may have because of a mismatch between their biological sex and their gender identity. This broken down means that your biological sex is not the same as the gender you identify as. Cool. Gender is a spectrum, and it fluctuates, sometimes on the daily for people. So getting a diagnosis can be tricky. In order for a diagnosis to be considered, your life needs to be impacted in some way. Whether it's anxiety, depression, or some other symptom, it needs to cause a decline in normal life functioning. So after waiting 4 months to talk with a gender therapist, I finally had my letter. Off to the endocrinologist I go, the hormone doctor, or so I thought. First labs and physicals need to get done. Okay, I can do that. I'll play ball. That gets done. Next, I was waiting for the appointment because they too are very few and far between. 3 months later, I finally have my appointment. Pick up my prescription from the pharmacy, and it's like taking a dose of dopamine. All smiles as I injected my first dose of testosterone. Now, despite how it may seem, I did not start looking like this handsome man overnight. I'm currently 2 years on testosterone, and only in the last year have I really started to see bigger changes. I was told this is a marathon, not a sprint at the beginning, but geez, this marathon is long. The first change I noticed was my energy picked up. I still get these little energy highs on my shot days, and usually the day after. The next thing was the hunger. I was famished, day in and day out. When people say their teenage boys eat them out of house and home, I now understand what they mean. Apologies. This too still generally happens on shot days. That one symptom I was desperately waiting for was my voice to drop. I couldn't really hear a difference until around 6 months, and it hadn't even dropped that much. Such a disappointment, because I was having the worst voice cracks in the history of voice cracks. It was awful. No drops. However, now, at 2 years on testosterone, there's been a significant voice drop. Wish I had a before and after, but you can hear the after. Significant voice drop. And it's still continuing to drop ever so slightly. Around 1 year on testosterone, I noticed my body fat starting to redistribute. My face got more angular, hips less pronounced. In this time, I had really picked up weightlifting. Much to my disappointment, magic muscles didn't just appear. I put blood, sweat, and tears into them, but there came my broader shoulders. That body I had so desperately wanted was finally coming into the light. This really came into effect when I got my top surgery. The most life-changing thing I have ever done was get top surgery. I got my surgery done down in Austin, Texas. My mom came down for a few days to help with my recovery, since you have little T-Rex arms for about 2 weeks. Can't lift, can't move, can't do anything. You have little, just right in front of you. And I was living alone with 3 dogs at the time. Needed some help. We were still in an odd place. She had come around to my name and pronouns. The surgery she was kind of on board with, but thought it was scary, that it was permanent. I didn't blame her. I was scared too. But I knew I needed to do this. Little did I know that she had started to seek out resources. She found the Trans Family Alliance, an online community for parents of trans kids, and she was able to gain knowledge, support from them. She became so invested in this community that she's now taking a gender health class to introduce into her therapy practice in order to become more inclusive and get trans and non-binary people the help they so desperately need and deserve, as well as providing support to the parents of trans and non-binary kids. So I walk into the operating room, knowing this surgery would change my life. I just didn't know how much. When I unwrapped my chest for the first time, broke down in tears. Huge sobs. I couldn't even breathe. It was perfect. The most perfect thing I had ever seen. I looked in the mirror and I said, I see you. I'm here. I've arrived. This is me. More and more tears. I couldn't contain the amount of emotion that had piled up over the years. These 2 scars on my chest, they're not battle wounds. They're a reminder of renewed life. I am so happy and proud to look in the mirror now. So I was talking to the rabbi the other day. She told me, as a newly out queer person, that she walks into a room and thinks, I wonder who else is queer and like me. She's excited about the prospect of meeting someone that's walked a similar path that she has. By contrast, my first instinct when I walk into a room is, am I safe? Will someone cause me harm based on what they perceive is the right way? I wouldn't say that I walk through my life in fear, but there's a definite awareness of my surroundings, especially in this political climate. Everyone goes through transitions, big and small, whether it's moving to a new house, getting a new job, coming out to the world, coming out to yourself. All of these things have one thing in common. People going through them need support. Some need it by words, such as using the correct pronouns. Some need it in actions. Maybe you go to their doctor's appointment with them. Some just need to know that you're there. A smile goes a long way. When you walk by someone on the street, you don't know their story, what they've gone through that day or in their life. Let's be mindful of this as we continue on. One of my favorite quotes is, throw kindness around like confetti. So I'm saying to all of you, throw it around, make a mess, and let's celebrate each other's differences. Thank you.
There we go. It was a beautiful balance, Alex, of teaching us important facts we needed to know, perspective, love, story, inspiration. Thank you so much. And we have, just to say, our Keshet section over there, sprinkled throughout the room. We have a beautiful Keshet group that is open to anyone in our community. We have lots of fun events coming up and throughout the year. So if you want to come and hang out with all of us, please do. We had some wild fun at our game night, let me just say. All right. We're going to move to Aleinu on page 586. If you would please rise. If there are any kids in the room who are not yet 13, I'm looking at you, Diego, who want to come and open the ark, you are invited, not required. Maybe Ethan wants to come. Come on up and open the ark, please.
Yay! Come on.
Come on, Ethan.
You ready?
Come on.
Oh, you gotta open one of the doors. You ready? You wanna open this one? Why don't you come by this one?
Thank you, Diego. Here, Diego will open. You can help him. Oh, there we go. All right. Aleinu leshabeach la'adon hakol, la'tei chidula li'yotzer bereshit, shelo asanu kigoyei ha'aratzot, velo samanu kimishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu b'hem, vegor aleinu kechol hamonam. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו You can have a seat. On page 598, we are in the period of Shloshim, the first 30 days for Martin Zaretsky, Rita Spector, and Samuel Phillips. It's the yahrzeit this Shabbat of Nassim Ben-Amu, Marie Devlin, Heinz Fenichel, Ruth Carmiol, Joseph Lerner, Alice Lerner, Emmanuel Maisel, Lev Malkov, Asher Montadon, Joseph Sams, Manny Scaler, Benjamin Slavitt, Milton Slobin, Louis Usatin, Sam Usatin, Mal Weinberg, Elias Wallace, Udlia Yatzkayir, and Louis Zayman. Other names this Shabbat for Kaddish. If you, if you are in mourning or observing a yahrzeit, I invite you to rise for the Mourner's Kaddish on page 598. If it is your custom to rise along with the mourners, I invite you to do so. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Be'alma divrach irutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala uvizman kariv imru. Amen. Yehe shemei Rabbah mevarach le'alam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnasei v'yitadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei dekudsha Barichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehe shalama Rabbah min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru.
Amen.
Amen. You can have a seat. David Ratner has announcements for us this evening.
Shabbat Shalom, friends. about the parking space outside with my name on it. It's not a perk of the presidency. Anyone could have gotten it. You just had to outbid me at the gala. That was it. I didn't put pressure on anyone. It's fine. Mazel tov to the Lerner Mayer's family, as their daughter Amaya is called to the Torah as a bat mitzvah tomorrow, Saturday, June 18th. Amy is one of our trustees of CBT. She has the hardest job on the board. It is her job to keep the time and make sure all of us keep to the time in what we have to say. No one pays attention to her, but she tries every meeting. Thank you, Amy. And thank you, Alex. What an extraordinary story. What an extraordinary adventure and venture you were on, and what an extraordinary way you were able to tell us. That was moving, it was educational, and I think we all benefited from your words here tonight. Thank you so much for being a part of our community. The office will be closed on Monday, June 20th, in observance of Juneteenth, and now a national federal holiday. The annual Father's Day diaper drive ends this Sunday on, go figure. We have two buckets outside, one inside, one outside. We're still collecting diapers and bringing them to the Monument Crisis Center. And then we start another drive. We start the Monument Crisis Center backpack drive. And information concerning the drive will be in the Monday email. The Monument Crisis Center wants to collect 1,500 backpacks to make sure that students going back to school in September who can afford what they need to be fully equipped will be able to be fully equipped to participate fully in their education. And CBT has always been a big contributor to that drive, and I urge you to consider it. The bins will be here. Book Sisters will be discussing the book House on Endless Waters by Emuna Elan on Tuesday, June 21st, 7 p.m. in person. Contact Mona Epstein for more information. Mona, raise your hand. Right here. And finally, in our Monday email, we have a huge amount of information about all the programs we have at CBT, all the wonderful things that are going on. Sometimes you actually have to scroll to the end to get everything. It's not always right in the first paragraph or two. I urge you to read the emails, participate. There's such a vibrant, welcoming community here. And I see we have a lot of guests. Welcome to our house.
We're going to close with Oseh Shalom, as always, a prayer for peace. And then we'll scoot into the social hall for Kiddush and Motzi and Oneg and get to be together having a little food. Woo! Yes! Osir Shalom, friends. We're going to do the Nava Tehillah melody. Judith says, stand up. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.